Today's video is a long-term review and everything I love and hate about my Lamborghini Revuelto. I've had this car just over a year, about 14 months, but about 1,600 miles in the car. And we've done a lot of things over the past year with this car. We've set the record for the quickest Lamborghini ever run down the quarter mile, running 9.4 at 147 miles an hour. We've raced a dozen cars. We've raced the Tesla Plaid, the Ferrari SF90, the ZR1, and a bunch of other cars. And typically, this Lamborghini comes out on top. 1,001 horsepower from its hybrid V12. Instant torque, 0 to 60 hits in like 2 seconds. We've also hit Tail of the Dragon with this car. We've taken it down the half mile and raced the Plaid, the SF90, and a few other cars. And it's done just incredibly well. But today, I'm gonna go over kind of everything I love and hate about the car and just a long-term review of what it's like to have the Lamborghini Revuelto for just over a year. Now, keep in mind, this car is leaving soon because my Telemario is supposed to be built in January. First up, let's just give a quick walk around the outside of the car. Now, don't forget, I ordered this car super early and I wasn't able to do my own spec and do exactly what I wanted, but it's pretty close to what I've wanted. I love the yellow color. I love the diamond cut wheels, of course, as you're seeing right here. Of course, doors that go up is just wild. The V12 sounds just insane. I absolutely love that you can look out the back window and see the exposed 6.5 liter V12 roaring behind you. Now, I will say, one of my first pet peeves about the Revuelto is that while it sounds absolutely incredible at the top RPM range, it's got these crazy, stupid exhaust valves, and they're electronically controlled, not vacuum controlled. So you just can't unplug them and plug the hose and disconnect them. You require some other kind of, there's some aftermarket parts that you can add to the servos to keep them open, but driving around town just normally is super quiet. I'm gonna give it a cold start so you can hear what it sounds like, what it should sound like, and then when those valves close up, I mean, it's just too quiet. I'm gonna go ahead and pop the engine hatch. There's a lever right back here that you pull here and allows you to kind of open up what's already an exposed engine, but you can see a little more. I'm gonna show you these exhaust valves right here. Right down here on each piece of the exhaust is a servo, which is controlled by the engine. There's one on each side, and these open and close the valves. Now, there are some devices where you can intercept these wires and keep them open at all times with a remote control, but I don't know, Lamborghini's kind of finicky with their warranty stuff, and honestly, this car gave me a lot of problems when I first took delivery of it, so I just didn't want to mess with any of the electronics. So if the car sounded like this driving around at between idle and 3,000 RPM, that would be great, but nah, nope. This is what happens. It just gets quieter and quieter. And then when driving around town, the exhaust valves don't open till like 3,500 or 4,000 RPM. For travel and storage wise, this car is actually pretty flexible because it's got electric motors in the front instead of a differential. You get a lot more space in the front trunk area. So if I pop open this right here, first you can see that this is very light carbon fiber and it's a big space. This is a full carry-on that I travel with, the largest you can take on an airplane. And as you can see here, it fits right in here with no problem, and actually room to spare. Now in the back, there's also additional storage behind the seats. Not a lot, but enough for some small bags, you know. Back in here, you can see there's like a parcel shelf for additional storage. Also to note, when we have the front area open, here's where you plug in the car if you wanted to charge the high voltage battery with level 1 or level 2. And then also we got a 12 volt here. Actually, on a regular basis, I never plug this car in. It does have another feature where you can fold down this little flap thing here and lock the cord inside plugged in if you wanted to, so people couldn't unplug it. But normally, I'm not plugging this car in to charge the high voltage battery. Just driving around charges it plenty. Now, speaking of starting the car, a few of my friends have jumped in this car and tried to start it, and they just sit around and press the buttons, and it's not very intuitive and just probably a little more complicated than you think it might be. I mean, you would think that if you had a start and stop engine button, that would start and stop the engine. And while you can do that, it requires a little bit of finagling. So let's just go over starting the Revuelto and kind of my problems with it. So All right, so normally you would just put your foot on the brake and press start. What that does is it turns the car on. And by default, yes, the car starts in electric only mode, but it's still not started even though I press my brake and press start. You actually have to do this again and press it again. And at that point, it'll actually turn the car on. So 2 times, foot brake, press the start button to get it started. And at this point, you can actually put it in gear, but the engine's not started. So how do you start the engine? I mean, you press this again, that's gonna turn the car off. You put it in gear, now we're in electric mode. We can actually move the car backward and forward. I have the door open, so it's gonna complain, but I can't take the emergency brake off and do that. So how do you start the engine? Well, how do you? Well, you have to use these buttons up here just to get the V12 started. The left here, you have this one mode where it goes from Città to Strada to Corsa. And the right, you have your hybrid mode, recharge mode, and performance mode. So all said together, another problem is there's probably like 13 different combinations of modes. And I just feel like having this car every year, I either drive it in all electric if I just want to be quiet, or I'm in Corsa performance mode. Not the hybrid mode, not any of those other modes, except for maybe recharge if you want to recharge the battery. But driving this car around on a normally daily basis, you don't have to recharge the hybrid battery. It just does a good job by itself. So how do you start the car? Well, you have to turn this to Strada. And sometimes it'll start, but sometimes it won't. So it's just, I don't know, it's a little inconsistent. It's supposed to start, the car's on. If I put my foot on the brake and press start again, it actually turned the car off. So I'm gonna try it again. Okay, so turn the car on, put your foot brake, turn the car on, and then turn to Strada. And there we go. Got the engine started. I just did the same thing twice in a row, and actually, it just shut off. I don't know what's going on here. Why would it do that? Press the start button again. I got my foot on the brake. It turns the car off. So this is just part of the frustrations of, just to be honest, not a well thought out user experience for driving the car. I'm not sure if they give these cars to people who actually drive them for like 6 months to give feedback on the user interfaces. There's a lot of stuff I'll go over here, but let me just try and get the car started. This is the way I like to do it, and you'll do this and then turn it to Strada, and then press the foot on the brake again, and there it goes, it shuts off again. So let's see. Car's on. See, I could put it in gear. Now if I turn it here, try it again. So after a year, here's how I typically start the car. I come in, I press this button once. Then I turn the mode to Strada mode. Then I go and put my foot on the brake and hit the start button. That starts the engine, and it's a pretty repeatable process every time. But listen, it could be a bit simpler. But next up, let's talk about all the different modes and some features that I love and hate. So first up, I love the steering wheel. I think the layout is great. You got your turn signals right here on the left and right. Very large shift paddles, which are very easy to use. You got your wipers over here. This is for your active spoiler. This is for your voice control. Your lift system is very easy to get to, not like a McLaren. Your bumpy road mode right here, where you can turn left and right and go for your dampening of the suspension, is easy to get to. And your brights, and then your ADAS system for some of the ADAS features of the car. However, there is a combination of these left and right buttons, which have just so many options that it's just kind of weird to use. You know, you don't even get full power in this car unless you are in full Corsa mode. So you turn this to right, you're in Corsa. You see a lot of people racing the car. If they're not in Corsa, it says in the manual, you're down 10% in power. That is 100 horsepower down if you simply have this button in sport, or you don't have it in performance mode over here. So as you can see, it's very easy to get mixed up here. If you turn it to sport and you're in performance, down 100 horsepower, and let's say I want full power, you go to Corsa, this dial goes back to hybrid. You're still down 100 horsepower. So a lot of people will forget, I've seen this in a lot of videos, to actually go back and hit this button again and get to performance. Now I did find a bug in the Lamborghini system. Up here you can see this is your shift light. If you are in Corsa mode, you have to shift manual. So you can see when I'm in sport, there's no shift light. But when you go to Corsa, there is the shift light, and if you're in performance, same thing, you get a shift light. If you want to turn ESC off, like we do when we drag race, or you were racing on the half mile, what I noticed quickly is the shift light just disappears, which makes absolutely no sense. Has to be a bug. Why would you not have a shift light when you're in manual mode? So I'll watch right here. Watch the shift light disappear. If I go to Corsa ESC off, there you go. We get the notification. The shift light is gone. So now you have to rely on, I mean, it says the RPM limit is 7, that's because we're not warmed up, but it's like 9,200 RPM. To not have a shift light and have to hit that every time is actually pretty difficult. So, bug with Lamborghini, why is there no shift light with Corsa ESC off? Now, with all the different settings you can have this car in, which you have Corsa ESC off, you have Corsa, you have Sport, you have Strada, and you have Sita. Then you have on the right side, you have Hybrid, Recharge to recharge the battery. And then if you're in Sport, you have Recharge, Hybrid, and Performance. You can see how many different crazy combinations there can be. Now, there's also a shortcut button called EV, right? If you press the EV button, that is your shortcut to go into EV only mode. However, to get back into Corsa Performance, look how many things it takes, look how many touches it takes you. You gotta go Strada, Sport, Corsa, hold down again. If you want ESC off or the ultimate performance, then you have to go from hybrid over to performance. There is no shortcut to get into the performance mode. So why is there a shortcut for EV mode and not like basically a preset like in my Corvette Z06? I could press the Z button and save all the settings I want and have one button press. Even like basic BMW M3s and M5s have this M mode button that you press and get in all your settings. They could at least have a toggle. This could be like EV or performance or something like that. Now I did hear, maybe, I haven't got to drive the Tema Mario for some reason. Lamborghini's basically snubbing me. They haven't invited me to drive the Tema Mario at all, whether it's in Portugal or Sonoma or whatever. I just don't get it. You know, not only am I an owner of the car and an influencer and I want experience, and I've ordered that car, I'm just kind of disappointed that I haven't got to driven it. But Lamborghini has said that there is going to be a shortcut mode in the Tema Mario that fixes that. Now, as far as infotainment over here and then kind of the gauges over here, I do like what they've done. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do. It's not totally intuitive, but to use this screen, there are buttons on the back side here, and then you basically just navigate through. So you can go through vehicle info. Dynamics is my favorite screen where you can look at different things here. You got your G meter. You got your brake system. I actually have an error on here. I think I need to swap the brake fluid, but it's been telling me. You got your engine status with all your engine gauges. You got your E range, so you got 4 miles of range at 60%. They do say, this only has like a 3.5 kilowatt hour battery, that the range is like 5 miles on electric only. And right now I'm at just less than 60% battery. So that is your battery and your mileage range for that. And then you can move over here and then go to your radio. You can look at your media. You can look at your telephone. You can have your navigation screen up here, which is kind of cool. You can also use this side and change the view to full view. And you get your navigation kind of inside the cluster here. And of course, you can have navigation on this screen as well. So I think that's kind of helpful, you know, that you can look at your navigation straight up over here. And then if you press view again, it goes back into this mode. Now this button over here controls this screen. So it's kind of weird that to control this screen, you go behind the steering wheel. To control this screen, it's on the front of the steering wheel. Fine, whatever, because the buttons that are actually on the back of the steering wheel here are actually for your radio controls. Another pet peeve of mine, there's no volume knob in this car. It could be so simple to just put a volume knob down here. Instead, to change the volume, you have to use these buttons back here. The middle button is for your mute, and then you got up and down. So it's just not a good way to control the volume. On this side, if you want to press this button, you go through ADAS. This shows you kind of how the power is being distributed. If you're charging the battery, that's our battery range again, our engine system, and our G meter. So, you know, it's nice to have different things for the left and right, and then you can press the view and just go full out performance mode like that. So, you know, controlling the volume, I have CarPlay running here, which is great. I'll go over that in a minute. But like to change the volume, you either have to click down here and go like this, or you can use the steering wheel control back here. But look how long it takes. I'm pressing the button now, and there's just... like it just got, I didn't turn it all the way up. I just held it down and went full volume. So it's just a little bit laggy on that kind of thing. I would just put a volume button right here, put a volume button down here like Porsche does. Lambo, give us just a volume knob, please. So on to the infotainment. I think the plugged-in CarPlay works great. You can see I just have it plugged in here. It also has wireless CarPlay. I've had less of a great experience with that, so I tend to just leave the phone plugged in. It just seems to be just a bit more reliable. So you go into the here and you press CarPlay, that brings that up. I just love that it's a full touchscreen CarPlay, super easy to use. There's your maps, you know, there's your Spotify. You can do your split screen like this. Just super happy with CarPlay implementation in the Lamborghini. On to, you know, other things that you want to do quickly is change the climate. Again, you could have had a volume knob and just some easy up and down fan buttons right here. Instead, it's all built into this interface here. So to change the climate, you have to go and press up here. Takes a second, like that's a second delay. Then you can press the power button or go here. Okay, so it turned it on. So there's your climate's on now. You want to control your fan speed, you press there. It's just too many presses. It's just a little laggy. There's your AC on or off. And if you want to control the different directions, you can do that here. This not too intuitive either. You can kind of press these and go, you know, plus minus. This looks like the vent here, which kind of blows here, and then the side vents as well. It's got manual controls on each of the side vents, which is nice to have. Could be a little better on the messaging. I just got this message here that says brake system degraded, please contact dealer. That's a little bit scary being so far from a Lamborghini dealer. I actually called the dealer and they're like, oh, that's just your maintenance for the brake fluid for the car. I could have just said that. They're like, it's totally safe to drive, but scary message. Could have been a little better with the messaging there. Revuelto also has an optional passenger side screen. It's kind of cool when you think about it, but if I'm speccing a car, I'm not adding that for $4,000. I just find it not too useful. I'm never using it. My passengers really aren't paying attention to it either, but you can like change the displays. It is an actual touch screen that if you want to turn it off and on, you can do that. And you could kind of throw different screens different places. So, you know, if you wanted your TPMS over there, you can swipe that way, your brake system or your G meter. And if you swipe the other way, it'll put it up over here. So I can throw my E range over on this screen. I like this, it's pretty cool. I think having a big screen here would be nice to show up additional vehicle dynamics on the center stack here, but you can't do that. You would think if I pressed one of these buttons, you know, it would give me the option to just display it on here, but you can't do that. It also has these favorites area, which you would think were favorites for some of your engine systems, but these are just favorites for your different radio stations, nothing else. Other than that, super happy with the interior of the car. I know this sounds like a lot of complaining, but when you drive this car for a year, these things definitely come up and they kind of can drive you a little bit crazy. Interior, I love the seating position. I love the rear view. If you're looking out there, you can actually see the V12 engine right behind you roaring. The seats are electric, super comfortable. I think if I was speccing the car, I wouldn't do the electric seats. I would do the racing seats, the carbon seats, which are manual. Once I'm in the car, I don't really adjust the seats anyways. And these seats probably add about 100 pounds to the Revuelto. So if you can save 100 pounds off a 4,300 pound car, I'm in for that. One other UI feature I love in this car has the surround view 360 cameras. So if you go and click here and then you go to vehicle and then click on the top view for your parking view. Now this shows up when you're in reverse as well, but I think this does a great job of seeing around the car. This is a very big car, so it's super helpful to be able to get all these different views when trying to park it. So there's your overhead view here, and now you can switch whatever camera view you want. So you got your front view, you can click on the rear view, you can look at your rear tires if you were parking, you can look at your front tires if you were parking, and there's back to your front view. And then you got the top-down view as well, where you can kind of move around a little bit and so forth. And there's this 3D version where you can kind of view your car in your environment. I know a lot of cars have this feature, but I think in a big, expensive car, it's nice to see all around the car. And I think Lamborghini did a great job of this kind of view. Interior quality, fit and finish is just fantastic. I've had zero issues with the car. The carbon fiber is really nicely done. The leather steering wheel, the Cusatera stitching on the side, the leather mix of Alcantara is just done super well. Really, really cool design. You got the extra Lamborghini logos on the headrest and so forth. I mean, the fit and finish in here is really fantastic. On to actually driving the car. This thing is an absolute blast. I'm going to take you for a quick drive to the gym, and it's just, the roads to my gym up here in Tennessee are pretty incredible. We'll talk about the driving dynamics. All right, so taking the Revuelto to the gym, this has got to be one of the coolest roads to drive to the gym I've ever had, and you just let me know what your drive to the gym is like. If it's like this, we got some really cool twisty turny roads, a little bit of space to speed up, a little bit of spinning right there. A lot of times, one of the most common questions I get about the Revuelto is, do I like it better than the Ferrari SF90? Because I had that car for, geez, I think 2.5 years before I got this car. And the answer to that question is, I like the Revuelto a lot more. It ticks just all the boxes off with regards to screaming V12, hybrid power, electric, 0 to 60, 2.0 seconds. The launch is incredible. Dual clutch transmission. It doesn't drive like crap like all the Aventadors do. It's just an all-around, check off all the boxes car. Even though it's a big car, it handles really good. I mean, this road to the gym is pretty cool. Not Tail the Dragon cool, but when there's no one on it, it is a lot of fun. Revuelto is a pretty heavy car at 4,300 pounds. It's all about how the car feels, and it doesn't feel like a crazy heavy car. And I drove my friend's 765 LT Spider up here on these roads not too long ago, and sure, it felt a little bit lighter, and it's definitely a lot smaller, so when you're going through some of these turns, yeah, I mean, it's probably a little easier to drive through here, but the Revuelto is absolutely no slouch through the corners. And you cannot just beat that screaming V12. Of course, we have the active air on the back. You can see the wing going up and down. A little bit of backfiring from the, usually this car will give you a nice, I mean, we're getting a little traction control light on there, pretty crazy. We're in Corsa Performance right now. What a riot to drive. Really glad I decided to bring this up here to do some Tail the Dragon fun. Wow, this is awesome. Big car, but big fun. I tell you, I'm definitely gonna miss Revuelto when it has to go, when the Tema Mario comes in. But the more I hear the Tema Mario, man, 10,000 RPM redline sounds like a motorcycle. So definitely a little bit of a different sound compared to the V12. And who knows, maybe I'll be back in the V12 again someday when Revuelto SVJ or something comes out. Now, if you want to go super quiet, we could press this EV button and watch this. Now we're driving mountain roads in EV mode. Look how quiet it is. I mean, sometimes this can be nice, I guess. Definitely loses all the drama. I can see why exotic electric cars there have not been super popular. I mean, it's just a lot more fun to have all the noise and the drama that goes along with a V12 from Lamborghini, of course. But if you want to putz around in electric mode, you can do that. And you get about, I don't know, 3 to 5 miles of range. So completely silent here. Here we come through here. I got it floored right now. Woo! We got some cattle on the side of the road right here. Pretty cool. And yeah, so all out in electric mode. Let's go, let's go, let's go. 60 miles an hour, 70. I bet the battery will drain pretty quick. The way I drive this car, you probably won't get that many miles. I can see the battery draining right before my eyes here. I mean, this is floored. Definitely not fast at all. But hey, if an emergency, you run out of gas. I'm actually pretty low on fuel right now. I guess in a pinch, it'll get you to the gas station, hopefully, right? But let's crank it back up. We're gonna go back into, put it in sport mode, sport performance. As I mentioned earlier, the only way to drive this car is all out Corsa performance, because any other mode drops 100 horsepower. And if you want to do launch control, we'll go ahead and throw it Corsa performance. To do launch control, you just hold down the launch control button here and it goes into launch mode. Whoa! That's 70 miles an hour. And it just dead hooked. Pretty incredible. There's also burnout mode or two-wheel drive mode in the Revuelto. To engage that, you basically just throw it into the launch mode, but you have to do Corsa ESC off, and then you do performance. And then instead of launching the car, all you do is just stab the throttle and it just revs up and launches and does like a burnout. Let's give it a try. Woo! Got squirrely pretty quick there. Two-wheel drive burnouts, another plus of the Revuelto. I mean, I do wonder if I had enough space to really just let it rip with that burnout mode. It'll probably do some wicked donuts. And I'm actually wondering if I can go into the next couple gears like you can in the McLaren when you do burnout mode and really get them smoking. That basically completes my drive to the gym when in Tennessee. While it does take a while, it's gotta be my most fun drive to the gym. In Florida, my drive to the gym is terrible. It's just down a city street and it's just completely straight and terribly boring. All right, so that's a wrap of my long-term review with the Lamborghini Revuelto. Definitely one of my most favoriteest cars I've ever had in my garage before. Checks all the boxes, as I said before. You got dual clutch transmission, screaming V12, hybrid, all-wheel drive, doors up, exotic looks. Not limited to production, but a lot less made than the Ferrari SF90. And these cars are actually coming up in value because of the tariffs. So this car right here, as it stands, would cost another $80,000 more than I paid for it, while SF90 prices are dropping like rocks. Some of these cars on the SF90 side are $250,000 back of sticker. And if it wasn't for my incoming Tema Mario in January, this would 100% be a keeper. But Tema Mario's coming in. I want to keep the channel fresh. We'll see how the Tema Mario does. And then maybe later on, I don't know, Revuelto, SVJ, Roadster, whatever they come up with down the road, we'll join the Drag Times Garage. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up, help the video to the channel, and we will be back to racing soon. I know it's been a while, but it's been out of season, super hot in Florida. No one wants to race, but we got a track rental coming up in December, and boy, do we have some cars out from you. ZR1, Demon, 296, Plaid, 900 horsepower M5, and a few other cars coming out to race. So stay tuned and make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching.